came under the sway of various empires including the Roman, Byzantine, Arab, Persian, and Ottoman. During World War I in the western portion of Armenia, the Ottoman Empire instituted a policy of forced resettlement coupled with other harsh practices that resulted in at least 1 million Armenian deaths. The eastern area of Armenia was ceded by the Ottomans to Russia in 1828. This portion declared its independence in 1918, but was conquered by the Soviet Red Army in 1920.
Armenian leaders remained preoccupied by the long conflict with Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh, a primarily Armenian-populated region, assigned to Soviet Azerbaijan in the 1920s by Moscow. Armenia and Azerbaijan began fighting over the area in 1988. The struggle escalated after both countries attained independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. By May 1994, when a trilateral ceasefire between Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Nagorno-Karabakh took hold, ethnic Armenian forces held not only Nagorno-Karabakh but also 7 surrounding regions, approximately 14% of Azerbaijan's territory. The economies of both sides have been hurt by their inability to make substantial progress toward a peaceful resolution.
Turkey closed the common border with Armenia in 1993 in support of Azerbaijan in its conflict with Armenia over control of Nagorno-Karabakh and surrounding areas, further hampering Armenian economic growth. In 2009, Armenia and Turkey signed protocols normalizing relations between the two countries, but neither country ratified the protocols, and Armenia officially withdrew from the protocols in March 2018. In January 2015, Armenia joined Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan as a member of the Eurasian Economic Union. In November 2017, Armenia signed a Comprehensive and Enhanced Partnership Agreement, SEPA, with the EU.
Geography.
Armenia Panel, expanded.
Location: Southwestern Asia, between Turkey, to the west, and Azerbaijan. Note: Armenia views itself as part of Europe. Geopolitically, it can be classified as falling within Europe, the Middle East, or both.
Geographic coordinates: 4000N, 4500E.
Map references: Asia.
Area total:
29,743 square kilometers.
Land:
28,203 square kilometers.
Water:
1,540 square kilometers.
Country comparison to the world:
143.
Area comparative: slightly smaller than Maryland.
Land boundaries: total
1,570 kilometers.
Border countries: 4.
Azerbaijan 996 kilometers, Georgia 219 kilometers, Iran 44 kilometers, Turkey 311 kilometers.
Coastline: 0 kilometers. Landlocked.
Maritime claims: non-landlocked.
Climate: highland continental, hot summers, cold winters.
Terrain: Armenian highland with mountains, little forest land, fast-flowing rivers, good soil in Aras River Valley.
Elevation: mean elevation
1,792 meters.
Elevation extremes:
400 meters lowest point.
Deep river:
4090 highest point.
Aragat-Slelnagagat.
Natural resources: small deposits of gold, copper, molybdenum, zinc, bauxite.
Land use: agricultural land
59.7%.
Arable land
15.8%. Permanent crops
1.9%. Permanent pasture
42%.
Forest
9.1%.
Other
31.2%.
Irrigated land 2,740 square kilometers.
Population distribution: most of the population is located in the northern half of the country. The capital of Yerevan is home to more than 5 times as many people as Gyumri, the second largest city in the country.
Natural hazards: occasionally severe earthquakes, droughts.
Environment: current issues: soil pollution from toxic chemicals such as DDT, deforestation, pollution of Razdan and Aras rivers, the draining of Shivana Lake Shivan, a result of its use as a source for hydropower, threatens drinking water supplies. Restart of Metima nuclear power plant in spite of its location in a seismically active zone.
Environment: international agreements, Party to.
Air pollution, biodiversity, climate change, Kyoto Protocol, desertification, environmental modification, hazardous wastes, law of the sea, ozone layer protection, wetlands,
Signed, but not ratified.
air pollution, persistent organic pollutants.
Geography. Note, landlocked in the Lesser Caucasus Mountains, Savannah Lich, Lake Sevan, is the largest lake in this mountain range.
People and society.
Armenia panel. Expanded.
Population 3,038,217.
Country comparison to the world.
137.
Nationality. Noun.
Armenians.
Adjective.
Armenian.
Ethnic groups. Armenian 98.1%, Yazidi, Kurd 1.2%, other 0.7%.
Languages. Armenian, official 97.9%, Kurdish, spoken by Yazidi minority 1%, other 1%.
Note,
Russian is widely spoken.
religions. Armenian Apostolic 92.6%, Evangelical 1%, other 2.4%, non 1.1%, unspecified 2.9%.
Age structure 0-14 years.
18.86%, male 303,712/female 269,279.
15-24 years.
12.37%, male 195,722/female 179,970.
25-54 years.
43.31%, male 640,089/female 675,643.
55-64 years.
13.77%, male 192,515/female 225,882.
65 years and over.
11.7%, male 142,835/female 212,570.
Population pyramid.
Population pyramid.
Dependency ratios.
Dependency ratios are a measure of the age structure of a population. They relate the number of individuals that are likely to be economically dependent on the support of others. Dependency ratios contrast the ratio of youths, ages 0 to 14, and the elderly, ages 65 plus, to the number of those in the working age group, ages 15 to 64. Changes in the dependency ratio provide an indication of potential social support requirements resulting from changes in population age structures, as fertility level. More dependency ratios. Field listing.
Total dependency ratio.
44.4.
Youth dependency ratio.
28.7.
Elderly dependency ratio.
15.8.
Potential support ratio.
6.3.
Median age, total.
35.6 years.
Male.
33.9 years.
Female.
37.4 years.
Country comparison to the world.
78.
Population growth rate.
The average annual percent change in the population, resulting from a surplus, or deficit, of births over deaths and the balance of migrants entering and leaving a country. The rate may be positive or negative. The growth rate is a factor in determining how great a burden would be imposed on a country by the changing needs of its people for infrastructure, e.g., schools, hospitals, housing, roads, resources, e.g., food, water, electricity, and jobs. Rapid population growth can be seen as more population growth rate. Field listing.
Minus 0.25%.
Country comparison to the world.
213.
Birth rate. 12.6 births out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
153.
Death rate. 9.5 deaths out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
47.
Net migration rate. Minus 5.7 migrant s out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
194.
Population distribution. Most of the population is located in the northern half of the country. The capital of Yerevan is home to more than 5 times as many people as Gyumri, the second largest city in the country.
Urbanization. Urban population.
63.1% of total population.
Rate of urbanization.
0.22% annual rate of change.
Major urban areas. Population. 1.08 million. Yerevan, capital.
Sex ratio, at birth.
1.12 male, s/female.
0-14 years.
1.14 male, s/female.
15-24 years.
1.06 male, s/female.
25-54 years.
0.93 male, s/female.
55-64 years.
0.84 male, s/female.
65 years and over.
0.67 male, s/female.
Total population.
0.94 male, S/female.
Mother's mean age at first birth. 24.4 years.
Maternal mortality rate.
The maternal mortality rate, MMR, is the annual number of female deaths per 100,000 live births from any cause related to or aggravated by pregnancy or its management, excluding accidental or incidental causes. The MMR includes deaths during pregnancy, childbirth, on within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of the duration and site of the pregnancy, for a specified year. Maternal mortality rate field listing.
25 deaths/100,000 live births.
Country comparison to the world.
120.
Infant mortality rate. Total.
12.3 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Male.
13.7 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Female.
10.7 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Country comparison to the world.
110.
Life expectancy at birth. Total population.
75.1 years.
Male.
71.8 years.
Female.
78.7 years.
Country comparison to the world.
113.
Total fertility rate. 1.64 children born. Woman.
Country comparison to the world.
177.
Contraceptive prevalence rate.
This field gives the percent of women of reproductive age, 1549, who are married or in union and are using, or whose sexual partner is using, a method of contraception according to the date of the most recent available data. The contraceptive prevalence rate is an indicator of health services, development, and women's empowerment. It is also useful in understanding past, present, and future fertility trends, especially in developing countries. Contraceptive prevalence rate field listing.
57.1%, 2015 to 16.
Health expenditures, 4.5% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
155.
Physicians density, 2.8 physicians out of 1,000 population.
Hospital bed density, 4.2 beds out of 1,000 population.
Drinking water source, improved.
Urban.
100% of population.
Rural.
100% of population.
Total.
100% of population.
Unimproved.
Urban.
0% of population.
Rural.
0% of population.
Total.
0% of population.
Sanitation facility access, improved.
Urban.
96.2% of population.
Rural.
78.2% of population.
Total.
89.5% of population.
Unimproved.
Urban.
3.8% of population.
Rural.
21.8% of population.
Total.
10.5% of population.
HIV/AIDS adult prevalence rate 0.2%.
Country comparison to the world.
91.
HIV/AIDS. People living with HIV/AIDS 3,400.
Country comparison to the world.
121.
HIV/AIDS deaths less than 200. Obesity adult prevalence rate 20.2%. Country comparison to the world.
101.
Children under the age of 5 years underweight 2.6%.
Country comparison to the world.
106.
Education expenditures 2.8% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
151.
Literacy definition.
Age 15 and over can read and write.
Total population.
99.7%.
Male.
99.7%.
Female.
99.6%.
School life expectancy. Primary to tertiary education.
School life expectancy, SLE, is the total number of years of schooling, primary to tertiary, that a child can expect to receive, assuming that the probability of his or her being enrolled in school at any particular future age is equal to the current enrollment ratio at that age. Caution must be maintained when utilizing this indicator in international comparisons. For example, a year or grade completed in one country is not necessarily the same in terms of educational content or quality. More school life expectancy, primary to tertiary education, field listing.
Total.
13 years.
Male.
13 years.
Female.
13 years.
Unemployment. Youth ages 15 to 24. Total.
36.3%.
Male.
29.5%.
Female.
45.7%.
Country comparison to the world.
18.
Government.
Armenia panel. Expanded.
Country name, conventional long form.
Republic of Armenia.
Conventional short form.
Armenia.
Local long form.
Hayastani Han Raptatian.
Local short form.
Hayastan.
Former.
Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic. Armenian Republic.
Etymology.
The etymology of the country's name remains obscure. According to tradition, the country is named after Haik, the legendary patriarch of the Armenians and the great-great-grandson of Noah. Haik's descendant, Aram, purportedly is the source of the name Armenia.
Government type, parliamentary democracy. Note, constitutional changes adopted in December 2015 transformed the government to a parliamentary system.
Capital, name.
Yerevan.
Geographic coordinates.
4010N, 4430E.
Time difference.
UTC +4, 9 hours ahead of Washington, D.C., during standard time.
Etymology.
Name likely derives from the ancient Taurasian fortress of Arabuni established on the current site of Yerevan in 782 BC, and whose impressive ruins still survive.
Administrative divisions. 11 provinces. Marza, singular, Mars, Aragatsutan, Ararat, Armavir, Jegakunik, Kotek, Lori, Shirak, Sayunik, Tush, Vayetszor, Yerevan.
Independence.
For most countries, this entry gives the date that sovereignty was achieved and from which nation, empire, or trusteeship. For the other countries, the date given may not represent independence in the strict sense, but rather some significant nationhood event such as the traditional founding date or the date of unification, federation, confederation, establishment, fundamental change in the form of government, or state succession. For a number of countries, the establishment of statehood. More independence field listing.
The 21st of September 1991, from the Soviet Union.
National holiday. Independence Day, 21 September, 1991.
Constitution. History.
Previous 1915, 1978, latest adopted the 5th of July 1995.
Amendments.
Proposed by the President of the Republic or by the National Assembly. Passage requires approval by the President, by the National Assembly, and by a referendum with at least 25% registered voter participation and more than 50% of votes. Constitutional articles on the form of government and democratic procedures are not amendable, amended 2005, 2007, 2008, last in 2015.
Note.
A 2015 amendment, approved in December 2015 by a public referendum and effective for the 2017-18 electoral cycle, changes the government type from the current semi-presidential system to a parliamentary system.
Legal system. Civil law system.
International Law Organization participation, has not submitted an ICJ jurisdiction declaration, non-party state to the Act.
Citizenship. Citizenship by birth.
No.
Citizenship by descent only.
At least one parent must be a citizen of Armenia.
Dual citizenship recognized.
Yes.
Residency requirement for naturalization.
3 years.
Suffrage. 18 years of age. Universal.
Judicial branch. Highest courts.
Court of Cassation. Consists of the criminal chamber with a chairman and 5 judges and the civil and administrative chamber with a chairman and 10 judges, with both civil and administrative specializations. Constitutional Court. Consists of 9 judges.
Judge selection and term of office.
Court of Cassation judges nominated by the Supreme Judicial Council, a 10-member body of selected judges and legal scholars. Judges appointed by the President. Judges can serve until age 65. Constitutional Court judges -4 appointed by the President, and 5 elected by the National Assembly. Judges can serve until age 70.
Subordinate courts.
Criminal and civil appellate courts. Administrative appellate court. First instance courts. Specialized administrative and bankruptcy courts.
Executive branch. Chief of State.
President Armen Sarkisian, since the 9th of April 2018.
Head of Government.
Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, since the 8th of May 2018. First Deputy Prime Minister Ararat Mirzoyan, since the 11th of May 2018.
Cabinet.
Council of Ministers appointed by the Prime Minister.
Elections. Appointments.
President indirectly elected by the National Assembly in 3 rounds if needed for a single 7-year term. Election last held on the 2nd of March 2018. Prime Minister elected by majority vote in 2 rounds if needed by the National Assembly. Election last held on the 8th of May 2018.
Election results.
Armen Sarkisian elected president in first round. Note: Armen Sarkisian ran unopposed and won the Assembly vote 90-10. Nikol Pashinyan elected prime minister in second round. Note: Nikol Pashinyan ran unopposed and won the assembly vote 59-42.
Note:
Nikol Pashinyan resigned his post on the 16th of October 2018 but remains on as acting Prime Minister until new elections are held on the 9th of December 2018.
Legislative branch. Description:
Unicameral National Assembly, Parliament, or as Gayan Shogov, minimum 101 seats, currently 132. Members directly elected in single-seat constituencies by proportional representation vote. Members serve 5-year terms.
Elections.
Last held on the 9th of December 2018. Next elections to be held December 2023.
Election results.
Percent of vote by party. My Step Alliance 70.4%, 8.3%. Bright Armenia 6.4%, other 14.9%. Seats by party. My Step Alliance 88, 26. Bright Armenia 18. Composition. Men 112. Women 20. Percent of women 15.2%.
Political parties and leaders. Armenian National Congress or ANC, bloc of independent and opposition parties, Levanter Petrosyan.
Armenian National Movement or ANM, Ararat Arabian.
Armenian Revolutionary Federation or ARF, Dashanak Party, Brand Markarian.
Bright Armenia, Edmund Marukyan.
Christian Democratic Rebirth Party, Levan Shirinian.
Citizens' Decision, Suran Sahakian.
Civil Contract, Nikol Pashinyan.
Heritage Party, Rafi Hovhanesian.
Mission Party, Manuk Sukiasyan.
My Step Alliance, Civil Contract Party and Mission Party, Nikol Pashinyan.
National Progress Party, Luzain Haroyan.
People's Party of Armenia, Stepan Demirkan.
Prosperous Armenia or BHK, Gajik Zarukian.
Republic, Aram Sargsyan.
Republican Party of Armenia or RPA, Sirs Sargsyan.
Rule of Law Party, Orinat Yurkia, or OEK, Artur Bagdasarian.
Sasnadza, Varazanavitizyan.
We Alliance Off Date, Aram Sargsan.
International Organization Participation, ADB, PSEC, CD, CIS, CSTO, EEC, Observer, EA, EAPC, EBRD, FAO, GCTU, ERIA, IBRD, ICAO, ICC, NGOs, ICRM, IDA, IFAT, IFC, IFCS, ILO, IMF, Interpol, IOC, IAM, IPU, ISO, ITSO, ITU, MEGA, NAM, Observer, OAS, Observer, OIF, OPCW, OS, PFP, UN, UNCTAD, UNESCO, UNIDO, UNIFIL, UNTO, APU, WCO, WFTU, NGOs, WHO, WIPO, WMO, WTO.
Diplomatic representation in the U.S. Chief of Mission.
Ambassador Varazan Nersesyan, since November 2018.
Chancery.
2225 R Street Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20008.
Telephone.
12023191976.
Fax.
12023192982.
Consulate. S. General.
Glendale, California.
Diplomatic representation from the U.S. Chief of Mission.
Ambassador Richard Mills, since the 13th of February 2015.
Embassy.
1 American Avenue, Yerevan 0082.
Mailing address.
American Embassy Yerevan, U.S. Department of State, 7020 Yerevan Place, Washington, D.C. 205217020.
Telephone.
37410464700.
Fax.
37410464742.
Flag description. 3 equal horizontal bands of red, top, blue, and orange. The color red recalls the bloodshed for liberty, blue the Armenian skies as well as hope, and orange the land and the courage of the workers who farm it.
National symbols.
A national symbol is a faunal, floral, or other abstract representation, or some distinctive object that over time has come to be closely identified with a country or entity. Not all countries have national symbols. A few countries have more than one. National symbol. S. Field listing.
Mount Ararat, eagle, lion, national colors.
Red, blue, orange.
National anthem.
A generally patriotic musical composition, usually in the form of a song or hymn of praise, that evokes and eulogizes the history, traditions, or struggles of a nation or its people. National anthems can be officially recognized as a national song by a country's constitution or by an enacted law, or simply by tradition. Although most anthems contain lyrics, some do not. National anthem field listing.
Name.
Meharanik, Our Fatherland.
Lyrics, music.
Mikhail Nalbandian/Barsekonikon.
Note.
Adopted 1991, based on the anthem of the Democratic Republic of Armenia, 1918 to 1922, but with different lyrics.
Economy.
Armenia panel. Expanded.
Economy. Overview. Under the old Soviet central planning system, Armenia developed a modern industrial sector, supplying machine tools, textiles, and other manufactured goods to sister republics, in exchange for raw materials and energy. Armenia has since switched to small-scale agriculture and away from the large agro-industrial complexes of the Soviet era. Armenia has only two open trade borders, Iran and Georgia, because its borders with Azerbaijan and Turkey have been closed since 1991 and 1993, respectively, as a result of Armenia's ongoing conflict with Azerbaijan over the separatist Nagorno-Karabakh region.
Armenia joined the World Trade Organization in January 2003. The government has made some improvements in tax and customs administration in recent years, but anti-corruption measures have been largely ineffective. Armenia will need to pursue additional economic reforms and strengthen the rule of law in order to raise its economic growth and improve economic competitiveness and employment opportunities, especially given its economic isolation from Turkey and Azerbaijan.
Armenia's geographic isolation, a narrow export base, and pervasive monopolies in important business sectors have made it particularly vulnerable to volatility in the global commodity markets and the economic challenges in Russia. Armenia is particularly dependent on Russian commercial and governmental support, as most key Armenian infrastructure is Russian-owned and/or managed, especially in the energy sector. Remittances from expatriates working in Russia are equivalent to about 12 to 14% of GDP. Armenia joined the Russia-led Eurasian Economic Union in January 2015, but has remained interested in pursuing closer ties with the EU as well, signing a comprehensive and enhanced partnership agreement with the EU in November 2017. Armenia's rising government debt is leading Yerevan to tighten its fiscal policies. The amount is approaching the debt-to-GDP ratio threshold set by national legislation.
GDP, purchasing power parity, $28.34 billion.
$26.37 billion.
$26.3 billion.
Note.
Data in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.
136.
GDP. Official exchange rate, $11.54 billion.
GDP, real growth rate, 7.5%.
0.3%.
3.3%.
Country comparison to the world.
12.
GDP, per capita. PPP, $9,500.
$8,800.
$8,800.
Note.
Data are in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.
142.
Gross national saving.
Gross national saving is derived by deducting final consumption expenditure, household plus government, from gross national disposable income, and consists of personal saving, plus business saving, the sum of the capital consumption allowance and retained business profits, plus government saving, the excess of tax revenues over expenditures, but excludes foreign saving, the excess of imports of goods and services over exports. The figures are presented as a percent of GDP. A negative. More gross national saving field listing.
17.8% of GDP.
16.6% of GDP.
18.4% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
112.
GDP, composition. By end use. Household consumption.
76.7%.
Government consumption.
14.2%.
Investment in fixed capital.
17.3%.
Investment in inventories.
4.1%.
Exports of goods and services.
38.1%.
Imports of goods and services.
Minus 50.4%.
GDP, composition. By sector of origin. Agriculture.
16.7%.
Industry.
28.2%.
Services.
54.8%.
Agriculture, products, fruit, especially grapes and apricots, vegetables, livestock.
Industries. Brandy, mining, diamond processing, metal cutting machine tools, forging and pressing machines, electric motors, knitted wear, hosiery, shoes, silk fabric, chemicals, trucks, instruments, microelectronics, jewelry, software, Food processing.
Industrial production growth rate 5.4%.
Country comparison to the world.
51.
Labor force 1.507 million.
Country comparison to the world.
131.
Labor force by occupation. Agriculture
36.3%.
Industry
17%.
Services
46.7%.
Unemployment rate 18.9%.
18.8%.
Country comparison to the world.
183.
Population below poverty line.
National estimates of the percentage of the population falling below the poverty line are based on surveys of subgroups, with the results weighted by the number of people in each group. Definitions of poverty vary considerably among nations. For example, rich nations generally employ more generous standards of poverty than poor nations. Population below poverty line field listing.
32%.
Household income or consumption by percentage share.
Data on household income or consumption come from household surveys, the results adjusted for household size. Nations use different standards and procedures in collecting and adjusting the data. Surveys based on income will normally show a more unequal distribution than surveys based on consumption. The quality of surveys is improving with time, yet caution is still necessary in making inter-country comparisons. Household income or consumption by percentage share field listing.
Lowest 10%.
25.7%.
Highest 10%.
25.7%.
Distribution of family income. Gini index.
This index measures the degree of inequality in the distribution of family income in a country. The index is calculated from the Lorentz curve, in which cumulative family income is plotted against the number of families arranged from the poorest to the richest. The index is the ratio of A, the area between a country's Lorentz curve and the 45-degree helping line, to B, the entire triangular area under the 45-degree line. The more nearly equal a country's income distribution, the closer its more distribution of family income. Gini index field listing.
31.5.
31.5.
Country comparison to the world.
125.
Budget. Revenues.
2.644 billion.
Expenditures.
3.192 billion.
Taxes and other revenues. 22.9% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
130.
Budget surplus, plus, or deficit, dash, minus 4.8%. of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
167.
Public debt. 53.5% of GDP.
51.9% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
89.
Fiscal year. Calendar year.
Inflation rate. Consumer prices. 0.9%.
Minus 1.4%.
Country comparison to the world.
44.
Central bank discount rate. 6.5%. The 14th of December 2016.
10.5%. The 10th of February 2015.
Note.
This is the refinancing rate, the key monetary policy instrument of the Armenian National Bank.
Country comparison to the world.
57.
Commercial bank prime lending rate. 14.41%.
17.36%.
Note.
Average lending rate on loans up to 1 year.
Country comparison to the world.
47.
Stock of Naira money. $1.629 billion.
$1.355 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
141.
Stock of broad money. $1.629 billion.
$1.355 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
149.
Stock of domestic credit. $6.712 billion.
$5.689 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
120.
Market value of publicly traded shares. $132.1 million.
$139.6 million.
$144.8 million.
Country comparison to the world.
121.
Current account balance. Minus $328 million.
Minus $238 million.
Country comparison to the world.
107.
Exports. $2.361 billion.
$1.891 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
135.
Exports. Partners. Russia 24.2%. Bulgaria 12.8%. Switzerland 12%. Georgia 6.9%. Germany 5.9%. China 5.5%. Iraq 5.4%. UA 4.6%, Netherlands 4.1%.
Exports, commodities, unwrought copper, pig iron, non-ferrous metals, gold, diamonds, mineral products, foodstuffs, brandy, cigarettes, energy.
Imports, $3.771 billion.
$2.835 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
142.
Imports, commodities, natural gas, petroleum, tobacco products, foodstuffs, diamonds, pharmaceuticals, cars.
Imports, partners, Russia 28%, China 11.5%, Turkey 5.5%, Germany 4.9%, Iran 4.3%.
Reserves of foreign exchange in gold, $2.314 billion.
$2.204 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
119.
Debt, external, $10.41 billion.
$8.987 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
113.
Stock of direct foreign investment at home, $4.169 billion.
$4.087 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
109.
Stock of direct foreign investment abroad, $228 million.
$215 million.
Country comparison to the world.
107.
Exchange rates, trams, AMD, per US dollar.
487.9.
480.49.
480.49.
477.92.
415.92.
Energy.
Armenia panel, expanded.
Electricity access, electrification, total population.
100%.
Electricity production, 6.951 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
112.
Electricity, consumption, 5.291 billion kWh.
Country comparison to the world.
121.
Electricity, exports, 1.424 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
50.
Electricity, imports, 275 million kWh.
Country comparison to the world.
90.
Electricity, installed generating capacity, 4.08 million.
Country comparison to the world.
86.
Electricity, from fossil fuels, 58% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
134.
Electricity, from nuclear fuels, 9% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
15.
Electricity, from hydroelectric plants, 32% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
65.
Electricity, from other renewable sources, 0% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
173.
Crude oil, production, 0 barrel, day.
Country comparison to the world.
105.
Crude oil, exports, 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
86.
Crude oil, imports, 0 barrel, day.
Country comparison to the world.
90.
Crude oil, proved reserves, 0 barrels.
Country comparison to the world.
103.
Refined petroleum products, production, 0 barrel, day.
Country comparison to the world.
114.
Refined petroleum products, consumption, 8,000 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
162.
Refined petroleum products, exports, 0 barrel, day.
Country comparison to the world.
126.
Refined petroleum products, imports, 7,145 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
158.
Natural gas, production, 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
100.
Natural gas consumption, 2.35 billion qm.
Country comparison to the world.
80.
Natural gas, exports, 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
62.
Natural gas imports, 2.35 billion qm.
Country comparison to the world.
48.
Natural gas, proved reserves, 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
106.
Carbon dioxide emissions from consumption of energy, 5.501 million.
Country comparison to the world.
131.
Communications.
Armenia panel, expanded.
Telephones, fixed lines, total subscriptions.
505,190.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
17.
Country comparison to the world.
94.
Telephones, Mobile cellular, total subscriptions.
3,488,524.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
115.
Country comparison to the world.
135.
Telephone system. General assessment.
Telecommunications investments have made major inroads in modernizing and upgrading the outdated telecommunications network inherited from the Soviet era, now 100% privately owned and undergoing modernization and expansion. With a small population and low GDP, moderate growth in mobile market, mobile operators promise mobile broadband to be faster.
Domestic.
17 per 100 fixed line, 115 per 100 mobile cellular. Reliable fixed line and mobile cellular services are available across Yerevan and in major cities and towns. Mobile cellular coverage available in most rural areas.
International.
Country code -374. Yerevan is connected to the Trans-Asia-Europe fiber optic cable through Iran. Additional international service is available by microwave radio relay and landline connections to the other countries of the Commonwealth of Independent States, through the Moscow International Switch, and by satellite to the rest of the world. Satellite Earth stations -3.
Broadcast media. 2 public TV networks operating alongside about 40 privately owned TV stations that provide local to near nationwide coverage. Major Russian broadcast stations are widely available. Subscription cable TV services are available in most regions. Armenian TV completed conversion from analog to digital broadcasting in late 2016. Public Radio of Armenia is a national, state-run broadcast network that operates alongside 21 privately owned radio stations. Several major international broadcasters are available.
Internet country code .m.
Internet users, total
1,891,775.
Percent of population.
62%.
Country comparison to the world.
116.
Broadband, fixed subscriptions, total
315,319.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
10.
Country comparison to the world.
94.
Transportation.
Armenia panel expanded.
National air transport system. Number of registered air carriers.
3.
Inventory of registered aircraft operated by air carriers.
5.
Civil aircraft registration country code prefix.
Airports 11.
Country comparison to the world.
153.
Airports, with paved runways, total
10.
Over 3,047 meters.
2.
2,438 to 3,047 meters.
2.
1,524 to 2,437 meters.
4.
914 to 1,523 meters.
2.
Airports, with unpaved runways, total
1.
914 to 1,523 meters.
1.
Pipelines, 3,838 kilometers gas, high and medium pressure.
Railways, total
780 kilometers.
broad gauge,
780 kilometers 1.520 meter gauge. 780 kilometers electrified.
note,
726 kilometers operational.
country comparison to the world,
98.
roadways, total
7,792 kilometers.
country comparison to the world,
142.
military and security,
Armenia panel, expanded.
military expenditures, 4.09% of GDP,
4.25% of GDP.
3.94% of GDP,
4% of GDP.
3.58% of GDP,
Country comparison to the world.
13.
Military branches. Armenian Armed Forces.
Ground Forces, Air Force and Air Defense, Nagorno-Karabakh Republic,
Nagorno-Karabakh Self-Defense Force. NKSDF.
military service age and obligation, 18 to 27 years of age for voluntary or compulsory military service, 2-year conscript service obligation. 17-year-olds are eligible to become cadets at military higher education institutes, where they are classified as military personnel.
Transnational issues.
Armenia panel expanded.
Disputes. International. The dispute over the breakaway Nagorno-Karabakh region and the Armenian military occupation of surrounding lands in Azerbaijan remains the primary focus of regional instability. Residents have evacuated the former Soviet-era small ethnic enclaves in Armenia and Azerbaijan. Turkish authorities have complained that blasting from quarries in Armenia might be damaging the medieval ruins of Ani on the other side of the Arpake Valley in 2009. Swiss mediators facilitated an accord re-establishing diplomatic ties between Armenia and Turkey, but neither side has ratified the agreement, and the rapprochement effort has faltered. Local border forces struggle to control the illegal transit of goods and people across the porous, undemarcated Armenian, Azerbaijani, and Georgian borders. Ethnic Armenian groups in the Javakiti region of Georgia seek greater autonomy from the Georgian government.
Refugees and internally displaced persons. Refugees. Country of origin.
14,680, Syria. Ethnic Armenians.
Stateless persons 773.
Armenia, officially the Republic of Armenia, is a country in the South Caucasus region of Eurasia. Located in Western Asia on the Armenian highlands, it is bordered by Turkey to the west, Georgia to the north, the de facto independent Republic of Artsakh and Azerbaijan to the east, and Iran and Azerbaijan's exclave of Nakhchivan to the south. Armenia is a unitary, multi-party, democratic nation-state with an ancient cultural heritage. Urartu was established in 860 BC, and by the 6th century BC it was replaced by the satrapy of Armenia. The kingdom of Armenia reached its height under Tigranes the Great in the 1st century BC and became the first state in the world to adopt Christianity as its official religion in the late 3rd or early 4th century AD. The official date of state adoption of Christianity is 301. The ancient Armenian kingdom was split between the Byzantine and Sasanian empires around the early 5th century. Under the Bagratuni dynasty, the Bagratid kingdom of Armenia was restored in the 9th century. Declining due to the wars against the Byzantines, the kingdom fell in 1045 and Armenia was soon after invaded by the Seljuk Turks. An Armenian principality and later a kingdom Cilician Armenia was located on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea between the 11th and 14th centuries. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, the traditional Armenian homeland composed of Eastern Armenia and Western Armenia came under the rule of the Ottoman and Iranian empires, repeatedly ruled by either of the two over the centuries. By the 19th century, Eastern Armenia had been conquered by the Russian Empire, while most of the western parts of the traditional Armenian homeland remained under Ottoman rule. During World War I, Armenians living in their ancestral lands in the Ottoman Empire were systematically exterminated in the Armenian Genocide. In 1918, following the Russian Revolution, all non-Russian countries declared their independence after the Russian Empire ceased to exist, leading to the establishment of the First Republic of Armenia. By 1920, the state was incorporated into the Transcaucasian Socialist Federative Soviet Republic, and in 1922 became a founding member of the Soviet Union. In 1936, the Transcaucasian state was dissolved, transforming its constituent states, including the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic, into full Union republics. The modern Republic of Armenia became independent in 1991 during the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Armenia recognizes the Armenian Apostolic Church, the world's oldest national church, as the country's primary religious establishment. The unique Armenian alphabet was invented by Mesrop Mashtots in 405 AD. Armenia is a member of the Eurasian Economic Union, the Council of Europe and the Collective Security Treaty Organization. Armenia supports the de facto independent Artsakh, which was proclaimed in 1991. Etymology: the original native Armenian name for the country was Haik, however it is currently rarely used. The contemporary name Hayastan became popular in the Middle Ages by addition of the Persian suffix stan, place. However, the origins of the name Hayastan trace back to much earlier dates and were first attested in circa 5th century in the works of Agathangelos, Faustus of Byzantium, Gaza Parpetsi, Corian, and Sebios. The name has traditionally been derived from Hik, the legendary patriarch of the Armenians and a great-great-grandson of Noah, who, according to the 5th century AD author Moses of Chorene, defeated the Babylonian king Bel in 2492 BC and established his nation in the Ararat region. Today's historical understanding is that Babylon was at least 20% younger. The further origin of the name is uncertain. It is also further postulated that the name Hay comes from one of the two confederated, Hittite vassal states, there, Ayazuatsi, 1600 to 1200 BC. The Exname Armenia is attested in the Old Persian Behistun inscription, 515 BC, as Amana, Old Persian A.png, Old Persian Ra.png, Old Persian Me.png, Old Persian I.png, Old Persian Na.png. The ancient Greek terms micro e, a, Armenia, and micro? Armenia, Armenians, are first mentioned by Hecatus of Miletus, c. 550 BC, c. 476 BC. Xenophon, a Greek general serving in some of the Persian expeditions, describes many aspects of Armenian village life and hospitality in around 401 BC. He relates that the people spoke a language that to his ear sounded like the language of the Persians. According to the histories of both Moses of Chorene and Michael Chamkian, Armenia derives from the name of Aram, a lineal descendant of Hake. The Table of Nations lists Aram as the son of Shem, to whom the Book of Jubilees attests. And for Aram there came forth the fourth portion, all the land of Mesopotamia between the Tigris and the Euphrates to the north of the Chaldees to the border of the mountains of Ur and the land of Ararat. Jubilees 8:21 also apportions the mountains of Ararat to Shem, which Jubilees 9-5 expounds to be apportioned to Aram. The historian Flavius Josephus also states in his Antiquities of the Jews, Aram had the Aramites, which the Greeks called Syrians. Of the four sons of Aram, Jews founded Trachonitis and Damascus. This country lies between Palestine and Celesyria. Ul founded Armenia, and Gather the Bactrians, and Mesa the Messarnians. It is now called Charax-Spasini. Historical Armenia, 150 BC. History. Antiquity. Main articles: Prehistoric Armenia, Prehistory of the Armenians, Satrapy of Armenia, Kingdom of Armenia, Antiquity, Roman Armenia, Sasanian Armenia, and Lesser Armenia. A reconstruction of Herodotus' world maps c. 450 BC, with Armenia shown in the center. The Kingdom of Armenia at its greatest extent under Tigranes the Great, who reigned between 95 and 66 BC. Armenia lies in the highlands surrounding the mountains of Ararat. There is evidence of an early civilization in Armenia in the Bronze Age and earlier, dating to about 4000 BC. Archaeological surveys in 2010 and 2011 at the Uraniwan Cave Complex have resulted in the discovery of the world's earliest known leather shoe, skirt, and wine-producing facility. According to the story of Hake, the legendary founder of Armenia, around 2107 BC Hake fought against Belus, the Babylonian god of war, at Sevastopol along the Engil River to establish the very first Armenian state. Historically, this event coincides with the destruction of Akkad by the Gutian dynasty of Sumer in 2115 BC, a time when Hake may have left with the more than 300 members of his household as told in the legend, and also during the beginning of when a Mesopotamian Dark Age was occurring due to the fall of the Akkadian Empire in 2154 BC, which may have acted as a backdrop for the events in the legend making him leave Mesopotamia. Several Bronze Age states flourished in the area of Greater Armenia, including the Hittites, at the height of their power, Mitanni, southwestern historical Armenia, and Hiazuatsi, 1500 to 1200 BC. The Nri people, 12th to 9th centuries BC, and Urartu, 1000 to 600 BC, successively established their sovereignty over the Armenian highlands. Each of the aforementioned nations and tribes participated in the ethnogenesis of the Armenians. A large cuneiform lapidary inscription found in Yerevan established that the modern capital of Armenia was founded in the summer of 782 BC by King Arjashti I. Yerevan is the world's oldest city to have documented the exact date of its foundation. Armenian soldier of the Achaemenid army, circa 470 BC. Xerxes I tomb relief. During the late 6th century BC, the first geographical entity that was called Armenia by neighboring populations was established under the Ontid dynasty within the Achaemenid Empire. As part of the latter's territories, the kingdom became fully sovereign from the sphere of influence of the Seleucid Empire in 190 BC under King Artaxias I and began the rule of the Artaxiad dynasty. Armenia reached its height between 95 and 66 BC under Tigranes the Great, becoming the most powerful kingdom of its time east of the Roman Republic. In the next centuries, Armenia was in the Persian Empire's sphere of influence during the reign of Tiridates I, the founder of the Arsacid dynasty of Armenia, which itself was a branch of the Parthian Empire. Throughout its history, the Kingdom of Armenia enjoyed both periods of independence and periods of autonomy subject to contemporary empires. Its strategic location between two continents has subjected it to invasions by many peoples, including Assyria, under Ashurbanipal, at around 669 to 627 BC. The boundaries of Assyria reached as far as Armenia and the Caucasus Mountains. Medes, Achaemenid Empire, Greeks, Parthians, Romans, Sasanian Empire, Byzantine Empire, Arabs, Seljuk Empire, Mongols, Ottoman Empire, the successive Safavid, Afsharid, and Qajar dynasties of Iran, and the Russians. The pagan Gani temple, probably built in the 1st century, is the only Greco-Roman colonnaded building in the post-Soviet states. Religion in ancient Armenia was historically related to a set of beliefs that, in Persia, led to the emergence of Zoroastrianism. It particularly focused on the worship of Mithra and also included a pantheon of gods such as Aramazd, Vahan, Anahit, and Astgik. The country used the solar Armenian calendar, which consisted of 12 months. Christianity spread into the country as early as AD 40. Tiridates III of Armenia, 238 to 314, made Christianity the state religion in 301, partly, in defiance of the Sasanian Empire, it seems, becoming the first officially Christian state, 10 years before the Roman Empire granted Christianity an official toleration under Galerius, and 36 years before Constantine the Great was baptized. Prior to this, during the latter part of the Parthian period, Armenia was a predominantly Zoroastrian country. After the fall of the Kingdom of Armenia in 428, most of Armenia was incorporated as a Muspanate within the Sasanian Empire. Following the Battle of Avara in 400,